Hello and welcome to From the G-Man. I'm Gary the G-Man Thomas, professional journalist and writer, and this is the very first episode of something that I hope will be an ongoing series. For my very first episode, I'm interviewing one of the most talented, spirited, and lovely young stand-up comedians in the country today, Miss April Brucker. She's a very, very interesting character who features a number of puppets in her repertoire, so to speak. And I must admit, it's probably one of the best interviews I've ever done with one of the most talented performers I've ever met, as you will see soon. You have some amazing creative abilities.
Oh, thank you.
You're an actor, you're a comedy writer, stand-up comedian, ventriloquist. I'm wondering, out of all of them, which one do you prefer doing the most? Or which one are you most happiest doing?
That's a good question. I like all of them. I like, the acting because, people see me do this comedy, and then when I act, it's like, oh my God, she can act, she can do stuff, and it's like, duh, I'm a trained actor, Like I actually went to training for this, because I was doing a show a few summers ago, where I started out in a role that they hired me for because of my stand-up, and then I got moved up, and all these actors started getting all with me because I was the stand-up that got moved up, and I was doing better than the girl that I replaced, and because I was the understudy. But I'm just like, yeah, I'm a trained actor, hello. And I love the comedy writing because, I like original ideas. And the thing about print is that it lives on, everything else dies, but print lives on. You could do the most wonderful performance ever in a theater and it dies, but print lives on.
What was your most embarrassing moment on stage?
The most embarrassing moment on stage was when I was performing for this group of people where the men looked like men and the women looked like women. And I thought that these were regular people, and some of these girls looked like butch lesbians, and it was like, whatever. So I'm telling some jokes, and I told a lesbian joke, and this one guy in the front row says, this gets worse and worse and worse, and I'm like, what's going on? And so during the break of that show, because I hosted at the last minute, they said, I don't know if anybody told you this, but there's a large transgender population here.
Whoa.
I'm like, what? They said, yeah, those girls. I said, so what do you mean? They said, the girls, they're guys biologically. I said, so that guy with the beard is a girl biologically? He said, yeah. And they said, the ones that look like guys, they're biologically female.
Oh.
I'm like, thanks for not telling me this, people.
Wow.
So now it's like, you seem to have an Adam's apple.
In my interview with legendary DJ and producer Jenny Costa, she revealed that she has to work twice as hard to earn the same level of pay, respect, and recognition as her male counterpart. Would you say that the same holds true in the world of stand-up comedy as far as female comedians are concerned?
Yes and no. It's a man's world and it's a man's profession. And sometimes when you step on stage, like I've had male promoters say to me, they've said things like, you look decent, you're going to have to work twice as hard to make it in comedy because you don't look funny. Or, or as a female comedian, you got to deal with this. Or, when you walk on stage, guys are thinking about what they want to do to you. They say stuff like this to you, or sometimes I've gotten the shaft from male producers because they can't deal with the idea of a funny woman. Or a funny woman that speaks her mind. Like they want a funny woman that's safe, that's, that'll tell a bunch of jokes about being a mom, about her kids. Stuff like that doesn't have any real pain because she has a freaking husband bankrolling her career.
I take it I hit a nerve by asking this question.
No, you didn't. You didn't hit a nerve. It's just that, people they like to make assumptions about people. And nothing's more true in stand-up comedy and nothing's more true among women comedians. I find that I'm treated better by male comedians than I ever have by women comedians. Women comedians fight amongst themselves so much. I rarely do all women's comedy shows because, when one girl's on the stage, the other girls are talking trash about her. And I'm like, you know what? We would have taken over the world a long time ago, except we all want to trash each other. I mean, I hate to say it, we're smarter than you guys. But we'll fight amongst ourselves, and that's why we're still where we are. And that's why, we keep hitting our heads against the glass ceiling.
Comedians such as Bill Cosby, Jerry Seinfeld, and Sinbad have pretty much, I guess the best way to put it is, played it safe most of their career by avoiding controversy. Whereas legendary comedians late comedians like Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, Sam Kinison and Bill Hicks pushed the comedy envelope and really took chances and challenged society. Having said that, I'm wondering, do you feel that there's a line that shouldn't be crossed when doing stand-up comedy?
Absolutely not. I think stand-up comedy it's an art form that, because I respect Richard Pryor because he was one of the first comedians to ever talk about drug addiction on stage. And because it was a topic that not a lot of people were touching. And he said, he talks about the crack pipe talking back to him. I mean, people needed to hear that. People needed to hear that routine because there were people going through that didn't put a name and a face to it, and suddenly Richard Pryor's talking about it, and they feel safe going to whatever 12-step group there is. And Sam Kinison challenges God. I mean, because you have all these people in Middle America, and I grew up with Christian fundamentalists who are all freaking scary, and they're all hypocrites, and they'll be your friend one day in church, and then at home they're downloading porn. I mean, those people need to be challenged too. Bill Hicks, come on, he needed to talk about what he needed to talk about. Lenny Bruce, he needed to say the things that he needed to say on stage. And anybody that knows anything about comedy or life can laugh at that. But I hate when people say, well, I've seen your comedy, you're too dirty, you're too this, you're too that. Seinfeld never said that on stage. Or, Bill Cosby never said that. Or Sinbad never said that. Well, I'm not Bill Cosby. I'm not Sinbad. I'm not Jerry Seinfeld. And please don't say that to me because, you see what they did in maybe the on television. But in the nightclubs, it's a different story.
Okay. That's it for the intense segment of the interview. All right, we're gonna have a little fun now, kind of let you run loose a little bit.
This intensity was killing me, man.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Please provide a brief comical assessment for each of the following. President Barack Obama.
Can we agree to disagree and then do nothing?
First Lady Michelle Obama. And what's that?
Just because she seems like she can kick some ass. I mean, seriously, like Michelle Obama seems like she could cut a bitch. I mean, seriously, I think that right now, it's gonna be like a Bill Hillary situation. In a few months we're gonna figure out that she's really running the country because we know that when Bill was in office, Bill was getting favors under the desk, but Hillary was really running the show.
George W. Bush.
Oh dear God, do we even have to go there? I mean, that was like the speak and spell administration. I mean, anybody is like strategery, how much, the world thinks that we're dumb gringos. He just proved him right. I mean, seriously, it's and then he's like, I'm from Texas. No, you aren't. You're transplanted Connecticut, boy.
Bill Clinton.
You know what? This is what I think of Bill Clinton. I love Bill Clinton because when he was in office, things were so good that we had time to spy on his personal life, okay? And meanwhile, we had time to see that he was getting some favors in the Oval Office. He was getting his lollipop licked, and by, a fat chick that looked like she could lick lollipops because everybody knows that fat chicks are the best at that. It's like Hillary wanted to be president when meanwhile, when she was in office, she couldn't keep her hands on the most important missile there was. So how does she freaking expect to stop nuclear war, But I love Bill and I want him back. I want the Clintons back in the White House desperately. And I was for Hillary though, because I just wanted Bill back.
How can people find out more information about you and your upcoming performances?
www.aprilbrucker.com and www.myspace.com/aprilbrucker, www.comedysoapbox.com/aprilbrucker, and www.facebook.com/aprilbrucker. And my name is spelled like April the month, but Brucker, B-R-U-C-K-E-R, rhymes with hooker, looker, sucker, fucker, lucker, I don't know. I've gotten it all my time.
April, it has been a complete pleasure. Thank you for being my very first guest.
Thank you.
And continued success to you. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of From the G-Man. I thank you all very much for watching. I hope you'll tune in next time. And I also would like to thank my director, Mr. Sam Girgis, and April Brucker, the one and only April Brucker. It was a pleasure having